Amrish, I'm going to begin with you because the survey actually reveals 94% of business leaders, feeling the need for simplifying India's Income Tax Act. Now, how can the government achieve this, maintaining a balance between simplicity and the intricacies of addressing complex tax scenarios effectively?
No, I think it's a starking revelation that most of us feel that there needs to be a change because this is a 6-decade-old law, and changes have happened in bits and pieces. So I think there are 4 elements to this that can be looked into. One is can the drafting be something which is easy to understand? I think that's the first element because that will lead to a level of simplification. But apart from that, what they will need to do is rationalize overall the tax regime. How does an incentive computation happens? How do you value fair value assets? You need to just have that, appropriate rationalization, and not that they have not begun. If you see last year's budget, there was this entire capital gains, rationalization that happened. The third, and this is to address, your specific issue on complexity, is can they provide taxpayers guidance on interpretation issues? Because that will then help, taxpayers to take the right position, and we will also see that it enables not to have the litigation if that is clearly carved out and stated in so many terms. And the last, I think, is if you want to make any substantive changes, can we have a mechanism whereby stakeholder consultation is taken into play? I think if they do this, I think that balance will be achieved between simplification as well as to address complex issues. But overall, what it will do is it will build a lot of taxpayer trust, and I think that's also an important element.
Very well explained. But then, Sunil, now simplification of compliance and filing requirements remains a key ask from businesses. Now, as a multinational operating in India, what specific challenges do you face in navigating the existing tax framework, and what reforms would enhance ease of doing business?
So, I would look at it this way. When we talk of large taxpayers, we have to keep in mind that large taxpayers have at some level or the other an interface with small and medium taxpayers, whether it would be a supplier of products, supplier of services, distributor, customer, depositor, and or a lender. So any simplification exercise must consider whether this will have or any change will have a what shall I say, rollover or a cascading effect on all of the stakeholders. A case in point could be, let's say, the requirement of deduction of tax on interest on debentures, although listed. A couple of years ago, the requirement was that year-end provision for interest on debentures, there should be a TDS. Now, it so happens this creates complication not for the debenture issuer, but also for the small investor who has to report the debenture interest in his tax return. And the time at which the interest on debenture is paid and when the debenture investor reports his income versus the time at which the tax is deducted at source could differ. So all I'm saying is when we rationalize, when we simplify, we have to look at the impact across taxpayer segments, not just a particular segment. While your question was in respect of large taxpayers, and yes, are there complications? Yeah. Can they be simplified? Certainly, yes. Let me pause there. Amrish, you have any reaction or the follow-on questions on this?
Yeah, and just to add, I think to Sunil's this thing, I think if we see, countries which are developed, they have this entire mechanism where the tax office and the large taxpayers, do connect and, try and sort out issues even pre-filing of tax returns. I mean, UK is a case in example, which follows the entire framework of customer compliance manager framework. And that I think is also important, especially for large taxpayers.